Hi GAD1 Group 1. As I said today, I've got this little demo video for your lesson today. Um, I showed you the examples earlier today of kind of the expectations of what you should get out of the lesson. But obviously, just try the processes, experiment with the techniques and the skills within Photoshop that you can use. And just see what you come up with, okay? I just want you to experiment. You will have more time to work on these in a couple of weeks when you're back with me on the Tuesday morning. So yeah, just have lots of fun, experiment, and just be kind of really open to getting some good designs based on the processes that I'm about to show you. Now, last week, some of you weren't here, so I'm just going to recap over how to create brushes. But this is what we ended up with last week was some two colour tone brush posters using different pieces of work. So what I've asked you to do is scan in work on the photocopiers. You'll need to download those from your emails. Make sure you're scanning high res, so 300 dpi. You'll probably need to do it landscape on the photocopiers just to get all of the artwork in, and just scan in as much as you want to use today. Now, you'll need to use Photoshop today, so I'm going to open up Photoshop in my dock, okay? And I'm just going to show you on a new A3 document how to create a brush. So I'm going to do new document, print, because we're working with paper sizes, A3, okay, and set up a new A3 canvas. All of your posters have got to be A3, so this is a good base to work with. Now, you'll need to open up some of your scans. So when you download your scans, they'll probably be in your downloads panel. My scans I've moved to my desktop, so I'm just going to find where they are. Okay, I'm going to use these ones from a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going to open up a couple of those. Okay, so to open up your scans, just drag and drop them down into your dock. Okay, and press OK. Okay, so you should have open a couple of scans, a new document, and I would also, if you were here for the last digital lesson, open up any of your brushes posters ready to go. Okay, so to make a brush, you're going to be using your marquee tools here, okay, or your lasso tools, okay? So you've got your marquee tools, rectangular marquee tool, elliptical marquee tool allows you to draw around rectangular and circular areas, and your lasso tools here allow you to draw around almost like freehand around different shapes and structures, okay, of your design. So I'm going to go straight in with this area here with my marquee tool, as this is a rectangular area. And then I'm going to go to, you should have running ants around the artwork that you want to create the brush with. And then you're going to go to edit, define brush preset. You can see here, this is the brush, okay? And then you can call it a name if you want to. I'm going to press OK. And you can see here my brush is now previewed. If I go into my new document, okay, I can set a colour. You want to go for two quite bright contrasting colours. I've gone for a neon pink and a neon green for my other designs. Okay, now if I click on the canvas once, you get that lovely detail, but in the same colour. It's kind of like screen printing that you've been doing with Rachel, where you set up your image on a screen, photo silk screen, and then you can drag through any coloured inks that you want. It's a very similar process, but digital. Now, if I use my square bracket, so next to the P on your keyboard, I can make my brush smaller, or I can make it bigger. Okay, I don't know why that's glitching there, I think a little bit. So you can see that my brush goes to the size of the canvas and that's it. Okay, so really lovely background there. Okay, now I'm going to go in with another brush here. I'm going to go into this scan. Okay, if you want to look at your brushes, you've got your brushes panel up here, and all of your sample brushes should be at the bottom. all the ones that you have created yourself or your custom brushes. Now I'm going to just rotate this canvas around. So to do that, I'll go to image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. And I'm going to draw around this area to make this into a brush. So I'm going to use my polygonal lasso tool. I'm just clicking. You can, because it's got a white background, it doesn't pick up a white background with the brush, so I can just draw around that quite not neatly at all, but it still works. Okay, and then I'm going to go to edit, define brush preset, and I've got my other brush there. Press OK, go into my new document, and then I'm going to go for my bright neon green, so you can change the colours down here. I'm going to go for a really bright colour, and then you can start building up these lovely details. So I'm going to go in with this. Now please use as many different lessons as possible. Okay, you can use Craig's lessons, my lessons, Faith's lessons, Rachel's lessons, Derek's lessons. Please have a really well balanced set of posters. It's really important that you utilize this. I'm going to use my arrows now. So my arrows, my side arrows here, my left and right arrows on my keyboard. I can start to rotate brushes as well. So if you want like a clear rotation, you can change it like that. I'm going to make this one slightly smaller. So I'm using my brackets there, okay? So I can start to build up some really nice like mirrored imagery, smaller and larger brushes, nice backgrounds, okay? So this is the base that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this kind of base for my next part of the workshop. Now, this is one of my examples from last week, okay, last time you were with me. So you can see I've got a range of different brushes. I think I've got 4 different brushes on here. You don't want to overdo it. You can still see my white background. I think that's really important that you do have enough white in your designs to be able to build up more layers and it not feel overwhelming. Okay, if you look at the artist that I have put for today's workshop, which is Peter Bankoff, you can see his work in my presentation. His background is just important as his content of his posters. It does feel messy and chaotic, but there's still space there. So I think it's important that you don't use more than 2 colours for your brushes, and you also don't use more than I'd say about 4 brushes. And you can see here that I have only clicked my brush once for each part of the design. If you start putting in like loads and loads of different brushes, it does become a bit overwhelming. So try and keep it quite succinct. Okay, so what I want you to do now is once you have got your brush designs, what you're going to do is we are going to, if I just find my presentation. So we're going to be doing, in the style of being Peter Bankoff, some black and white illustrative pieces with the colour blocks. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to have your brushes layers open. Okay, open up your scans and you're going to go to edit. Sorry, I've lost where I was. Image adjustments and then threshold, okay? What this does is it makes your work into a graphic illustration, okay? It takes all of the colour out, but it keeps it as a graphic illustration. Now, if I move my cursor, you can put less detail in or more detail in, so you want to get a good balance, okay? That's about right. Okay, they're not going to be perfect, but it picks up as much detail as you can. If I press OK, and then what I'm going to do is with my marquee tool here, my rectangular marquee tool, I'm just going to draw around that area. Okay, if you wanted to use a polygonal lasso tool, so I'm using my magnetic lasso tool here, you can do that as well. If you've got a lot in the foreground and in the background and you just want the outline of a particular area, I would use your polygonal lasso tools or your lasso tools, okay? And then that will allow you to identify an area that you want to take over. So then edit copy or Command T, edit copy is down here, and then go back into your poster and then Command V or edit paste, okay? And then can you see that I've got all these white areas on here? What I want to do is go into my layers panel and put multiply on. And what that will do is it will blend it into the bottom layer. Okay, so now I've got no white areas, it's just that. Okay, and this is exactly what I wanted. Okay, if you want to make this layer bigger, do Command T, or so Command T, you can see it brings the outline, or edit free transform, okay? And then you can drag out the corners to make your illustration bigger or smaller, okay? Now we're going to be going in between the layers panel quite a lot in this session, because what you want to do is do a lot of brush layers and blending, so make sure you're going in and out of this layers panel as much as possible. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a new layer. Okay, so this little plus sign down here will allow me to do a new layer. This is where I'm going to put my colour block in. Okay, now I've said in my aims and objectives of the lesson on the PowerPoint that you need to use a maximum of 4 colours including black. So I've already got my green and I've already got my pink. So now I've got my black colour in there, so I can put one more colour in. Okay, I think I'm going to go for a yellow, a bright yellow. Actually, I'm going to go for a grey, actually, like something a bit darker. And then what I'm going to do is go back into my brush panel. Now what that will do is it will preset as the brush that you used before, which we don't want to do. If I go into my brushes panel again and it kind of expands that out, you should have your general brushes here, and you just want to go into your hard round brush. That's like your standard brush. Okay, put the sides down a little bit. Okay, so you can see here, if I then use my brackets again to make my brush a bit bigger, okay, then what I'm going to do is just colour out. Doesn't have to be neat. I'm just going to go into this area of this face bit here, okay? So I'm putting in, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I'm putting in another colour, okay? Then I'm going to go back into my layers panel and put multiply on. Okay, so all you're doing is blending the layers. So keep blending, keep looking at, what you're doing in your layers panel, put your colour blocks in and just keep blending them, okay? Now, I'm going to put in another illustration here. So I'm going to go back into this. I'm going to use this other person here, okay? So I'm just going to use my marquee tool here and I'm just going to draw around that area. Again, you can use your lasso tools, which is this, to cut around specific areas of perhaps a more detailed illustration that doesn't have a white background on. Okay, and then I'm just going to copy that. So edit, copy or Command C, and then I'm going to go to Command V or edit paste. Okay, so again, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to blend this using my multiply option, and then again I'm going to go in with a new layer. It's very important that you always do the color blocks on a new layer, because otherwise you won't be able to blend them. So create a new layer, and then I'm going to go back in with my brush and I'm going to do this part of the kind of chest area here. So you're just kind of isolating areas, okay? I might go in as well perhaps with these eyes here. Okay, so I've colour blocked the areas I want to isolate, and then again I'm putting in my multiply. So you can see it's building up some really nice, lovely layers. Okay, so that's the first bit. The next thing I want you to do, and you can experiment with, loads of different bits of work, putting in some lovely isolations, layering it up over your brush tools. You could do new canvases with new brushes, as long as you're sticking to the 4 colours, and you're really thinking about space and layout. One thing I don't want it to feel is too chaotic and too messy and too overwhelming. I feel like I've got a really nice white background here. I've got a nice layer of like type from my book. I've got a really couple of really nice illustrations, quite a detailed illustration here. And it's looking well balanced. It doesn't feel overwhelming. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're now going to liquefy some typography. Okay, so using my type tool down the side here, I'm going to click on my canvas. Can you see it's tiny 12-point font there? I'm just going to click backspace because it fills it with lorem ipsum, which is preset Latin. And then I'm going to put in the title of my book, which is The Life. I'm going to drop it down to the next line of a stupid man. Okay, that's the book. That's the name of my penguin book. If I go onto my select tool here, you should be able to move that around. Now, if I do Command T, okay, that's your free transform tool. Okay, you should be able to drag the corners and make that much bigger. I think I'm going to change this to the pink or the green. I'm not really sure what I want to do with this yet. I'm going to bring that down. You want to go for a font that is not too decorative or scriptive. You want it to be quite a simple font. And then if I highlight this, if I go back into my type tool, highlight it, and then what I'm going to do is just have a look at my fonts here. I'm going to go for a just very bold font, make it slightly smaller. You can also in Photoshop, if I highlight that and go to window character, you should be able to adjust some of the like spaces between the lines. So I'm just going to go to auto for that. Okay, and that will make it slightly smaller. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit bigger with that. So just get it to a point that you're happy with. Just if you want to zoom in and out, guys, remember it's Command plus Command minus. And I'm just going to make that slightly bigger. Actually, I quite like the grey. I think I'm going to leave that as it is. Don't worry about where it's situated for now. You can always move it around. And then I'm going to go to filter and liquefy. Okay, so filter, liquefy down here. It will ask you if you want to make your type layer into an object, okay, because then it will allows more editing. So I'm just going to do convert to smart object. My laptop is getting a bit hot, so sorry if it feels like it's taking off. Okay, so what it will do, my laptop's been a bit slow, but what it will do is it will open up this liquefy preview button. I'm just gonna see if it will let me cancel this and close down some. While that is doing its thing, I'm just going to open up my type builder stuff from previous lesson. I think this is it. Yeah, this is my type builder outcomes. I'm just going to open up that so I can show you how to transfer it over into Photoshop. Sorry, my Photoshop's been a bit slow. Okay, so what this will do is it will open up your liquefy thing. This allows you to distort typography. You can do it with images, and it's just a really nice way of distorting stuff. You can change the properties here of, it's almost like a brush. So you've got your size here, density, pressure. This is kind of how I like to do it. So the pressure's up to about 2/3 of the way up. Density is quite high, size is quite big. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of go in with some really cool distortions here. It's a bit laggy. Hopefully yours won't be this laggy. You just get some really great okay, and then I'm going to press OK, and then that will transform that and do a liquefied result of your typography. Perfect. What I'm then going to do is blend it. Okay, I'm going to keep blending it. Doesn't that just look really gorgeous with, like, I can see my illustrations really clearly. I can see my brushes. I can see my everything. It feels very layered, but it hasn't lost the depth of the work because I've blended the layers. Okay, so I want you to try a bit of typography on each one. You don't need to keep it there, but it might work really well. And then what I'm just going to do with my type builder stuff, so this is all your digital lessons that you've done so far. This is my type builder example. What you can start to do is take over, so just literally highlight bits that you might want to use in your examples. You can see here I've got my Cecil toucan weaving stuff in the background here. I've got my Chris Ashworth squares here that we did the first week with me. So I'm just going to then start to bring over little elements and stuff that I might want to use, because this is black and white. It fits in with my 4 colorways. So I'm just going to go in and just edit, copy, or Command C, go back into my poster here, and I'm going to do Command V or edit, paste it in as pixels. It's fine. Just let that place in. Of course, I'm going to get rainbow wheel. While that's doing that, I'm just going back into my PowerPoint. So you can see here on my example, I've got my type builder shapes in here. I've got a lot of thresholded imagery with the color blocks behind. I've used my layer blends at all points. I've got liquefied typography, and I've got my custom brushes in the background. I've still got a lot of white space. I really can't emphasize the use of white space more. I think it's so important that you don't have these huge backgrounds in there. Let the work sing and let the colours come through without cramping the background with loads and loads of different colours. So yeah, try that. Here we go. I've got my type builder example in here. I'm just gonna make that a bit bigger, bring it down here a little bit, and then again I'm just going to blend it in. Okay, so I'm really starting to build up some really excellent layers. I would say that's probably getting a little bit too chaotic now, so I might transfer my type builder stuff onto another artboard or another canvas or another brush design, but you can see how I kind of want it to look. I want you to have all of your gorgeous work that you've done, be really restrictive with your colour and be really restricted with your layouts, but utilise as much work as possible. You've all done some excellent work, and we want to kind of show that off in a really creative way now, and yeah, just have loads of fun with it. So again, go to my PowerPoint. These are my examples. You know, there's lots of these ones are quite chaotic with the backgrounds, but I've really thought about my illustrations, my colour, how I want to integrate the type, and my other previous workshops, and have lots of fun with it. Your homework for this week, I want you to show lots of so it's supposed to say screenshots of processes used in Photoshop, and show all your final posters clearly in your digital sketchbook. Write up your lesson and research a minimum of 5 examples of Peter Bankoff's work. Can't wait to see what you come up with, guys. Have loads of fun, and I'll come and have a look at your work later. Thank you, bye.